Well, hello, little flock. It's great to see you. We believe and we know, I think you have seen it, that God is doing some pretty exciting things in the life of our church. And we are eagerly anticipating with so much expectation for Easter 2024. We believe that this year could be a year where we see God do some amazing things in the life of our church. We believe that this could be a monumental moment, that God does something far beyond anything we could even see or imagine. We believe that God wants to do a work in the lives of people as people come and hear the gospel, as they are exposed to the saving grace of Jesus, and as their lives are changed forever by the gospel of Jesus. And so here's what we want to do. We want to challenge you to do something in anticipation for Easter. We want to challenge you to begin preparing your heart for what God wants to do in your life and in the life of our church. So here's what we're asking you to do. Over the next 4 weeks, every Thursday leading up to Easter Sunday, we are going to ask you to fast from breakfast and from lunch. And what we hope is that this will be a time where you can meet with God. You can begin praying with God in anticipation of what He wants to do here at Little Flock for Easter. Now, here's what I know. When we talk about the word fast, there can often be some, confusion, misunderstanding maybe, of what that really means, what that really looks like. Some people look at a fast and say, you know what? I'll cut out a meal or two because I could use that to lose a couple pounds. And it's a weight loss thing. That's not really what it is. Maybe some people look at a fast and say, well, that's like a cleansing of my stomach. Well, that's not really what we're going after either. Maybe some people look at a fast as kind of this magic ritual to where God will somehow magically give them everything that they want. And that's not really what we're shooting for either. It's not about harming or depraving our bodies. It's not a show. It's not an act where we're trying to impress other people so they think that we are so spiritual. Fasting is not motivated by arrogance, and it's not motivated by legalism. As a matter of fact, this is what Jesus had to say about fasting from Matthew chapter 6, verse 16. It says, whenever you fast. So notice there is an expectation from Jesus that His followers would fast. He says, whenever you fast, don't be gloomy like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces so that their fasting is obvious to people. Truly I tell you, they have had their reward. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that fasting isn't obvious to others, but to your Father who is in secret. And your Father sees in secret and will reward you. And what's interesting about Jesus talking about fasting is this immediately follows Jesus' teaching and instruction and even His model on what prayer looks like. And so what we see from Jesus is there is a direct connection between fasting and prayer. Church, here's what fasting is. This is what it's all about. This is what we're calling you to. Fasting is about a desire for God. Fasting is a spiritual discipline of abstaining from something good, maybe like food, other things, so that we can concentrate our spiritual lives on God. It's about finding satisfaction in God. Here's what fasting allows us to do. Fasting allows us to intentionally come humbly before a holy God and plead with God through prayer for God's will to be done. Church, it is so important. And I want you to understand this as we begin this journey together, that fasting is so much more than simply missing a meal. If all you do over the next 4 weeks is go without a meal at breakfast and go without a meal at lunch every Thursday, and you do nothing else, you will completely miss the whole point. But here's what we want to challenge you to. Would you intentionally utilize this time in your day where maybe you would usually eat a meal and spend that time in the presence of God in prayer? Would you spend that time coming before God, praying for your church, praying for your staff, praying for your Chair One friends who might need to hear the gospel and who just might come on Easter Sunday morning if you invite them? Would you begin utilizing that time to seek the face of God in anticipation of what He wants to do in this church, in the lives of people, and in this community? Church, we are convinced that God wants to do big things in this place. And so we want you to pray in anticipation and preparation for what God wants to do for Little Flock and what God just might want to do for you.